If you are a writer, you know with absolute certainty that writing can get hard. This is due to a plethora of actions that come into our lives and makes us push writing to the side. As I am currently working on my next novel, I've understood that the writing process can be challenging. And when we consider language as a whole being the thing that defines humanity, I want to make more writers in the world. Not just myself, but to improve everyone's lives for the better through the words I am saying. In this video, I'm going to talk about writing techniques that feel illegal. When we consider stories, non-fictional excerpts, or even just a good piece of writing, we have to think to ourselves, wow, that is amazing. And it is beautiful to experience that feeling in the form of books, literature, and even the own words you are writing from your mind. It all comes from that said mind, and I want to illustrate that best with the techniques I'm going to teach you in this video. Hello, if you don't know me, my name is Arnel Arcega. I'm one of the healthiest authors and writers on this platform. As such, I educate people on how to read and write so that they can not only improve their language, but also become better writers in the long run. If you want personal help to write your own story, whether that be fictional or non-fictional, check out my Instagram down the link in the description and my books down there as well. For now, let's get into writing techniques and see what we can improve on as writers in the future. The first technique I want you to understand to become a better writer is to understand language and linguistics. To thoroughly break this down, linguistics is the art of language, more specifically words. How we pronounce things, how we go about explaining things, it's all about combining different words and exchanging them in a way that makes sense. It's a lot like building a sentence in which you are trying to build the best way to explain something from start to finish. What makes understanding language this illegal technique, in my opinion, is the fact that English is so sparse and so dense at the same time that you can change any word and it sounds great. When I am writing, I notice that I avoid repeating myself. Often that I find it hard to write something with the same phrase because of the fact that you are using this special word in one sentence. To use it immediately after, whether a paragraph or a page in, it feels redundant. And if I were to say this video is redundant, then the more redundant it becomes. You see what I mean? So when we consider how language works, we have to understand the barriers that are faced, how we can improve our language by just adding more and more words to our dictionary. With the modern age, as I've explained at the start of this video, we have a problem in which more and more people are not reading or writing. I'm grateful to have you here to listen to what I'm going to explain because I know for absolute certainty that writing can and will change lives. To be better at this craft, however, we have to know what language is and what we can do to improve on it. My uncle would suggest reading a full-on dictionary, but I'm not like that. Instead, use the tools we have nowadays. Look up synonyms, look up words that can replace these other words. When we are writing, we know for a fact that we struggle with trying to add new things. And because of that, we tend to repeat ourselves or make us sound off to a certain extent. What we can do instead is to make sure that we can alternate, change up the words every so often. It's like cooking. When you have more and more ingredients, it can be overwhelming and exhausting. But when you get the right amount of ingredients, it is beautiful. And that's what writing is in a nutshell. If you want to be the best writer you can, to explain something whether real or not, you have to build on your language and transition them into the following idea. The next writing technique I want you to understand is exactly that, transitioning ideas, not sentences. This may sound confusing, especially with how I'm wording this, but when you understand this, you can become one of the best writers you will ever possibly see. When we consider how sentences work, we often know that there are transitions in between. As, before, yet, and then, we have to explain this thoroughly to make sure our idea is complete. But that idea, it's so much stronger if we were to just transition it from one place to another. Recently, I've been tapping into songwriting. And while songwriting is not the same as writing a book or even writing an essay, there are many elements that it does share when we consider writing as a whole. One of the most notable ones is transitioning ideas. You do not want an idea to go on and on and on forever, which is what run-on sentences do. Or vice versa, we can keep on saying the same idea over and over. We use fancy transitional words like and yet, but then, nevertheless, and so on. It feels redundant, as I said, but to be able to transition ideas and not sentences is one of the strongest things you can do as a writer. To get better at this craft, you have to be able to take risks, jump from one idea to the next, bounce across different locations, different settings, and different characters. If you're doing something a lot more literal and nonfiction, then transition how you're going to explain what you want to explain. Do you want to explain a lesson? Do you want to explain a story? How do we transition that from the big idea you're getting across here? I can say it without any problem, and just like that, at the snap of a fingertip, everything makes sense. The third writing technique that feels illegal and one that you should absolutely focus on is to slow down what you are saying. Absolutely slow down what you are saying. When we want to write an idea, we get so excited and jittery about adding new things here or adding new things there. It's a euphoric experience, and I hope you felt that way as a writer, because I know for me, I felt that way so many times, whether it was the first time I started writing a book or the most recent time in which I'm coming up with the ideas. Nevertheless, you have to slow down what you are saying to catch up your mind and your hand or your fingers. I often feel stuck when I'm trying to write because there are many periods in which I don't know what I'm saying and I don't slow down. I keep on writing, which can be a good exercise in and of itself, but to consistently get better at writing, this writing technique of slowing down might be the thing you need. When we want to become better writers, we often have a lot on our plates. If we want to munch down on that plate as thoroughly as possible, then we need to slow down in what we're trying to explain. You can do this by talking in of itself. By talking slower, your writing naturally becomes slower. Who's saying you're in a rush? Outside of school, you are not in a rush to write what you want. And if you want to get the best craft, to make the best sales, and to get people on your side of your writing, then you need to slow down. The fourth writing technique that feels super illegal is to know your audience. This one seems pretty obvious on the surface, but I'm telling you, many writers I know do not get this. When they are starting to write a story, they think about themselves, which naturally they should. The battle between you and the audience is one that will go on forever and ever, no matter what work you are doing. It's how the audience perceives your art, and by virtue, it's just trying to get them on the same level as you. Sometimes that doesn't work, which often ends up being a cash grab or a throwaway, while others are so good that it feels illegal to an extent. That's what we want to over here. We want to have an audience feel your writing in a way that it is so good, it feels unreal. I've had this experience when my best friend read my first ever novel, and he told me straight to my face that it's one of the best books he's ever read. Now, to be perfectly blunt, I do not think the same, but I believe that's what captured my audience. They understood what they were getting at, and by looking into the piece of text they were reading, they feel good about what they're learning. If you're watching this video, I'm certain you are a writer, or you're an aspiring writer willing to learn and change. Therefore, you should be someone who's trying their best to adapt and know your audience based on what you are writing. Whether that be your own fictional story garnered for kids or non-fictional piece towards adults, you have to know what you're writing about. And when you get to that point in which you know for certainty who you're going to write this for, it's amazing when you understand that there are people who are willing to take in your work seriously. The best advice I can give for this point over here is to visualize the person you want to read this the most. Whoever that may be, whether it be a partner, an ex, a family member, an ex-family member. Who do you want to communicate these ideas to? Who do you want to read this? It could even be me. Check out my Instagram down, the link in the description. Nonetheless, I hope you can use this well, transitioning my idea into the final writing technique of this video. The fifth and final writing technique that feels so good but super illegal when we write is to stop beating around the bush. This one feels so obvious, but this is the most important one of the whole video. Many writers tend to write deep and complex stories, which makes sense. We want to pull an audience as much as we can, similar to TV shows, movies, and even music. When we understand that we have a vitriol, a story we want to tell, fictional or non-fictional, to get to that point, you cannot beat around the bush. Stop going over and hovering what you can say. Tell it straight up, as I said earlier in this video. Tell the audience what you want to say. Sometimes simple is the best option. Good does not equal complex, and simple equals completion. We have to know that to get what we want, we have to be direct with it. And in a way of our writing, we have to stop beating around the bush in the themes or layers. Sometimes you have to be more controlling if you are writing towards a younger audience. But if you're writing towards a direct figure, someone you personally know, then don't make them feel dumber than they are. Don't make them feel lost in the story you're creating. Value their intelligence and expand on it. Expand on their world, expand on their ideas, because in all actuality, you write to change lives. You write become a better human. And to be a better human, you have to stop beating around what is there. That's what differentiates AI and good writing. With the rise of AI and social media, our attention spans have been swallowed. Our dopamine is this high and not enough people are reading. I'm young. I'm super young. And yet I'm one of the only few people that I know who reads and writes on a regular basis. And if we're willing to change the world, to view the truth and set us free, then we need to be able to make us writers. We have to stop beating around the bush and tell it how it should be. Tell it in the best way you can and write to the best of your ability. I hope you enjoyed all 5 of these techniques here. While short and straight to the point, I want you to take this video with you to become a better writer. Work on your book, work on your writing, and continue reading, learning, and experiencing. The more you do those, the better you become in the long run. Check out my Instagram down the link in the description, as well as my books down there as well, to improve yourself in every area of life. If you're curious and want to know more about me, then check me out, no matter where you go. I am Arnel Arcega, and until next time, keep on reading, keep on writing, and take care.